Hello, everybody. I do believe that we have started the recording here. My name is Naraya. I currently operate as the media coordinator for the Turning of the Ages Mystery School. So if you do receive our fortnightly newsletter that flies off my desk, and if you see or follow or read any of our social media posts, they also originate on my desk. And it's a lot of fun and joy for me to be with the school in that way, because guess what? I get to read everything first. Everything that anybody creates, I get it first, which is wonderful. I have also recently launched a video live stream series on the Unite.live platform with the founder of the Turning of the Ages Mystery School, Daniel Giammario. That is called Gold Pill Astrology. We recently upgraded it from Red Pill Astrology. So if you like, you can check that out as well. And this series here, which is brand new, is also my heart child. I wouldn't even say brainchild, but my heart child, called Seed People Spotlight. And my intent is to really highlight and feature the incredible diversity of people and faces that are associated with the Turning of the Ages Mystery School, be they from the inner circle, council members, or long-standing or not so long-standing certified astrologers, members of the school, or maybe even students who have just very recently embarked on their path with studying this incredible astrological paradigm. And for today, it is my absolute great joy, pleasure, and honor to be here with Shiva Farhanpur, who is not only one of those certified shamanic or totems astrologers, but she's also a member of our council. And I'm sure we'll tell you more about that a bit later. She has just initiated an incredible new offering, and she will be the prime facilitator for that new offering within our school. We'll tell you all about that. But first of all, welcome, 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 my beautiful soul star sister, Shiva.
Thank you, Naraya. It's always wonderful to be, whether virtually or together, and have this conversation. So thank you for having me here.
Wonderful. What I would like you to start off with, or us to start off with, is just you telling us a little bit about you personally. So, and also, you know, what has drawn you to the school, what brought you to this type of astrology, maybe for how long you have been with the school. Share a little bit about yourself, maybe where you live, whatever feels most aligned with you.
Sure, all of that. If I can remember, I'm during this Freddie retrograde, as we call it now, our dear Mercury. So we'll do our best. So it's always hard, you know, when you want to talk about yourself. It's like, you know, somebody asks you, what's your sign? And, you know, your whole chart, and you're like, where do I start? So I basically consider myself the student of life herself. I have 4 planets in a Scorpio and a Virgo rising. So I think I'm just bound to forever be seeking the mysteries of life and want to be closer to the pattern, as Daniel puts it. So I have studied a lot of different systems of understanding the life's mysteries, being it from the plants and the stars, the planets and the stars, the plants and the Gaia, or the alchemy, both from the Eastern and Western traditions, which basically weaves all the science of life together. It's the sister science to astrology, our beloved science. And we live in the northern mountains of California with my partner, and we live a natural life on an off-grid land that used to be an old yoga ashram. And we garden, we keep up with the cycles and the stars and the night sky, and we try to weave that knowledge into everything that we do, whether it's our art, whether it is just medicine making or tending the forest that surrounds our house. So I got introduced to totems when it was shamanic astrology back in 2018. And I think it might have been around the summer solstice in Northern Hemisphere, the June solstice. I started reading the book, and I had to change my chart into the whole house system. And I think at the first couple try of understanding this paradigm, I was completely offended that everything shifted and changed, and I have to understand this new person. But then it just clicked. It just started making sense. And after I put my judgment down of what I thought I was trying to be, this really all made sense. And then I started started my studying one-on-one with Daniel. And I've been blessed to be mentored by him for the past few years. And last year we were, along with some of our other members, Owen, Mariana, we were the first group of people who got fully certified in totems. So it's been exciting, and it's like part of my life, and it's ever ongoing studies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wonderful. Yes, carry on, carry on.
No, say anything I missed. I thought I covered everything.
Well, you can add here whatever it is that you like, and there's nothing to be missed and nothing to be added. You know, we can just allow this to organically unfold as it does, as if we were having an informal chat, because that's, you know, what I love doing. And it just, if others, you know, can benefit from this as well, then I'll be well pleased, and, you know, I'll be really happy if that could happen. So maybe
so what I take off my bow tie so we can formal.
Yes. No, we're not in a formal setting.
Actually, I keep it.
You know, I think one of the things that really, and I didn't say that at the beginning, so I can interject it here. One of the things that really sets this school also apart is the Seed People approach. And for anyone who has not heard about that, I'll put the link to that in the description box below this video, so that you can maybe read up about that. Because it basically is a document written by Daniel's mentor, Dane Rudhyar. I don't know the year though in my mind, about what the prime imperative, maybe one could say, is for people like us at this great turning of the ages. What are the kind of choices that we have to make? And as you said, we take the bow tie off, and I said we can allow this to unfold in an organic way. I think that is one of the things as well that I appreciate so much about this school, because it's also a community of such seed people, as described in this document, people who have made decisions in their lives to open their hearts and to really go on a path of this self-discovery, and to know thyself, as it is said, and therefore be able to really step into and fill your particular place in the matrix of the universe. And that is what I really love about that. So yes, bow ties off. And seed people into the embrace of this school. And that's, as I said, that's what I'm so fascinated by, the diversity of people that feel attracted to this, all for their different reasons and maybe in different phases of their life. And at the same time, like when we met for the first time in person back in April this year at our annual gathering in Oracle, it was just such a coherence that happened there in the group of, I don't know, we were 17 people, about that number. Right. I could just describe it like, I've been in many groups, and I always said there's always a side shooter, at least one side shooter. Someone who kind of feels uncomfortable or causes trouble or needs a lot of attention and be in the spotlight, or completely withdraws and is not present at all. We didn't have that at all. So I was really amazed by that. But back to you, Shiva. So You said you've been with the school now since about 2018, and I would like you to feel a little bit into what is it that kind of most attracts you. Once you said it clicked, right, and you had overcome this feeling of, oh my God, now I'm suddenly supposed to be a completely different person according to my chart in this paradigm. But what is it that attracts you most to it, or what are maybe the ways that you have most benefited from bringing this into your live stream?
It's definitely always comes down to the practice for me. Like, I stuff myself with a lot of knowledge, and I like to constantly find new ways of explaining the mysteries so I can ultimately put it back together. And this paradigm made it possible for me to put so many of my other studies and practices into a coherent pattern that I can actually use to do something with it in my life. Besides trying to help others, it's always come for me back to myself. It's funny, every time I have a mentoring session, it's still to this day with Danielle says, okay, we'll see, it's about you again. And I'm like, of course, I'm the most interesting subject for myself. I want to figure out myself first. I feel like the way out is in, right? So the speed and accuracy that this paradigm it make available into decoding the birth chart or blueprint for life, it's really charming, because I honestly never thought I'm going to study astrology in depth, because every time I picked up a book or listened to someone or joined the community, it sounded so backwards, so old, as if like you are in the medieval time. And I mean, all that is valid, and we build upon our knowledge as a human, family as we go along. But to get stuck there is to be stuck in time. So with the way that Danielle kind of reward astrology, it was so charming, because now it wasn't a thing that holds you back and you're doomed and gloom, but everything, even the worst possible scenario, is the biggest opportunity for your growth. And the way Danielle formatted, it's a way that he gives you practical application. Hey, here's the big cycle. This is what happens in the celestial, but how are you going to bring it back? Or sometimes it happens in the underworld, the below world, but how are you going to bring it all back to where you are right now? And how can you work with it to improve your life personally and collectively? So these are, the most valuable things that I saw. There is jewels after jewels in this paradigm. I feel there is so much. I've been studying it for so long, and now I'm going through all the courses again. Every time you listen to it, there is more. It's really fascinating. And I loved when I was listening at the beginning and I found out how Danielle actually got this knowledge. He studied a lot, but he was out there under the sky. He was watching the movement of planets. He was as if like he comes from old times and bringing this knowledge back to him. And then he got initiated into this knowledge by Grandfather Rock. It's like the oldest ancient things on earth. So these are all I find quite charming about this paradigm, and the fact that I worked with it for so many years and it works. It's really magical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you just said. The speed and accuracy. You phrased it like that. The speed and accuracy of how this actually becomes applicable into understanding one's life and maybe the cycles one goes through. That's a gem right there of what you said. I love that. And also what you mentioned, what I also love is that, and I know Danielle always mentions and acknowledges that as well, that in the circle of the lineage, let's say, of this school, there's so many non-human teachers, the planets themselves as teachers, the grandfather rock, the land, Mother Earth, Gaia, as teachers. So we're not just looking at human lineage and saying, oh, this is so-and-so, and he got it from so-and-so, and he got it from so-and-so. There is, as you say, a lot of knowledge, yes, that has been accumulated and derived also from other astrologers that came before, and we all stand on the shoulders of those giants. And then the input, the direct input of the mysteries speaking through mainly the non-human teaching entities, such as the rocks and the trees and the stars and the sky and everything in between, the as above, so below. So I absolutely love that as well. Is there any? I mean, this school has such a rich body of teachings. There's so much packed into it. I know already that I will take years and years and years to study it and then start all over again, right? And discover yet new stuff. But is there any specific aspect maybe that you appreciate most, whether it comes to how to track the various cycles, or maybe the inner sacred marriage process, which is also quite an important aspect of the kind of original teachings of this school? So is there anything that you appreciate maybe a bit more than even other aspects, or that how you have derived specific value from?
I would say again, it's all melts down back into the practice. So for me, knowing there's like so many charming things, but again, it goes back to having all of this knowledge and how to apply it to life. That's what matters the most to me. And I mean, I can't really pick favorite. It's hard. I'm the same way. Plants too are always, when I talk about herbs and plants, I'm like, this one is my favorite and this one is my favorite. So I can say, I mean, the sacred marriage process is where I started my study with the school. I already read Daniel's handbook about maybe 7 times, 8 times, and I had a couple readings with him, and I was going through Pluto squaring my Mars cycle, which is a great opportunity for practicing that material. And Danielle just suggested that I start with that, and basically it was a very challenging work, but it was, I can say, it saved my life in that point, because it was just so comprehensive on how you can actually work with this knowledge. And this was before I understood the cycles, before I understood, I mean, I had a good idea of the archetypes and a lot of other materials from my previous studies, but without knowing everything else and all the details. So that was definitely very powerful, but so is all the other knowledge of the different courses. Pick favorites.
But maybe you can tell us also a little bit, because you mentioned it kind of in between the plants and the planets. There is a certain very strong affinity, and I know that you also are very strongly aligned with the study of the plants without the E in between, and maybe their affiliations with the planets. Can you tell us a bit more about that maybe as well?
Sure. I mean, the plants, if you really we put our human ego to the side, we see that these are beings that coming from heart of the earth, Gaia herself, to us. So this is, to me, a form of communication between the earth and whatever lives on the surface of the earth. And since before our history started, they've been here and made it possible for other animals and us and other beings to arrive here. So we have this long-lasting relationship with them. And the plants and planets, I mean, the words are so similar. And in the ancient, teachings, they say that plants are terrestrial planets and planets are celestial plants. And in a lot of ancient sciences, from alchemy, Ayurveda, and the Vedic system, which is kind of the alchemy of the East, and a lot of European, African, different parts of the world that we have ancient traditions, they always worked with plants, not just for medicinal, but also for their magical properties and for their energetic properties. So, I mean, this is it might, like, we might get so desensitized to this just because we're always surrounded by this dynamic, and hopefully we are if we are more closer to nature. But it's really easy to see that relationships. And the way that it works in the systems like alchemy, you can basically, by observing the nature, it's a natural thing. It's not about a heady thing that someone said this is related to that, but by observing the nature, by understanding the archetype, then you can see similar patterns that shows up in a planet. And then you can see those similar patterns in the habitat of that plant, or the way that when you take it, it tastes or make you feel. So it's a really tangible things. It's not just the knowledge. Again, for me, it's always come, can I work with it? So basically, with working with the plants, we have a physical ability to harness that celestial energy, put it in a cauldron of physical, and then work with it, purify. So once we take it in, it would also guide us through the same journey. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit about that subject.
No, I love that. I love what I'm hearing there from you. It's almost as if, you know, the science of maybe creating or deriving an essence of a plant and use that to build a bridge. So to allow the essence of the plant to be a bridge of communication to the essence of the planet, and to ground that more into our physicality, because I suppose for many people that can be a bit difficult to just get it from the planet and the stars direct, right? Some, you know, of the archetypes have an easier time with that, and for some it really somehow needs to be going through the physicality, through the physical body. And yeah, that's a beautiful way. Yeah, for those who have an easier time as well, you know, I'm not saying that they don't, including myself, don't need that, you know, because I have an easy time to get messages direct from the higher realms, from the planet, from star guides, spirit guides, whatever you call it. And still, me being embodied is not the easiest of jobs on this planet in this lifetime. As a Pisces rising, right? We are all over the place, out there in the heavens, in the starry realms. But feet on the ground is a more challenging aspect.
Absolutely. And we should talk about that actually later in one of our conversation, because that's another way that plants also help us. They don't just help us to do the evolution journey, but also involution. They help us come to the body. That's why, I mean, it's just an integral part of life. So they do so much for us. They feed us, they give us medicine, they help, you know, assisting our bodies, our mind, our soul, our spirit. There's so much. So yeah, they definitely can help also ground you and bring you back to the body if you're always up and, you know, in the ethereal realm, because they're kind of like the messengers between all realms. They are very evolved beings. I mean, like, we've been around for how many millions of years, you know, if you want to start from the beginning. But they've been here for way longer than that. And how arrogant we can be if we feel that, oh, we're human, we can walk around and we're so perfect. And these are like little, you know, plants that are here, you know, it's like,
oh, what a pretty flower.
Nice also to appreciate them that way, but this is our old being. These are ancient. They have survived here where we are struggling after hundreds of years of thousands of hundreds of years that we've been kind of more conscious and doing things, you know, thinking that we're getting evolved. But these things been surviving much harsher realities than us, and they've been in harmony, and they've been living here and assisting the earth and giving birth to the rest of life and make it possible for them to be around. So if we kind of change that perspective and look at this abundance that we're surrounded with with that lens, it really brings so much more magic in our lives. That's basically what we used to be for thousands of years, animistic, you know, view of the world, being in a dance. And I mean, you don't have to believe this or another way, but one of my other dear teachers that I studied her work a lot, but not with her personally, Callan Casey, she's also a friend of Danielle. She always, I love this line that she says, believe nothing, entertain possibilities. And also goes on saying that if you are living with a belief system, it's good to check to see if you're living with that belief system. Does that make you happy? Are you feeling fulfilled in life? Is everything well? And if it is, great, go on with that. It's working for you. But if it's not, try other ones, even if they sound, crazy out there, or, unbelievable or too good to be true, but just try it. And then if it works for you, if it, change something in your energetic, it betters your connection to life, then stick with that. So I played with this idea a long time ago. I started, and it's the one that works for me.
Yeah, or as you said, too different from what we know, like what you did. This was very different from what you knew your astrology, your chart, yourself to be, and suddenly it's completely. But you didn't discard it with a sense of cognitive dissonance. Oh no, that's different. Can't fit it into this paradigm, so let me put that aside. You really took it. And, okay. And it takes time and also courage. It takes courage and bravery to really look at anything, whether it's belief systems or suddenly very different astrological chart, because it comes from a different background, to not discard that, to just to stay with it for a moment and to say, okay, so what if that was closer to the actual reality than what I previously believed to be true? Let me, as you say, try it out, try it on for size, and only after a while play around with it, dance in it, bathe in it for a while and see what comes from that. That's incredible. That's really wonderful. Another point that I picked out from what you just said was when you were mentioning the involutionary path as opposed to the evolutionary path, which I also feel is quite a strong hallmark of this particular paradigm. Because when I started understanding this, it was like, oh, it was really a light bulb going on for me in particular, and for looking at other people around me as well, to know which of the archetypes are involutionary, which are evolutionary, and what that actually means. So which path is every single person on, and how can we support that? And not that we think, oh, we're all ascending, so all up and out, which is kind of the new page, light wash variety of what's going on at this, as we are getting into the age of Aquarius and so on and so forth. Well, now here it looks a little bit different. Some are on the up and out or up and expansion path, and others, such as myself, are on the get spirit into the body, into earth, ground it, embody it, bring it in, and learn to live with the physicality rather than, want to discard the body and say, well, then finally we're free again. So that's quite a point as well. So something else. So if you were able to say something to other people, how they could possibly benefit from this particular type of astrology or any particular part of it, what would you say? Where would you tell them to start? What to do?
Well, definitely, I naturally would invite everyone to study the material starting from the handbook if you never read it, because that's a wealth of knowledge and you get so much information just by reading that. But then Danielle and the school so graciously have made available so much free material, and they are so willing. It's not just like, oh, we put it out as an advertisement to catch you in a paradigm. There's so much that's freely just given out. So I don't think if there's a problem for anyone who's interested to have a problem understanding and reading this material. And our courses are amazing. And I love the new version that everybody works so hard to achieve and make, and they're amazing. So I think those are a great investment for yourself and for your life if you are interested to learn more. But at the end, everything that you read and study, remember, it means very little if you don't apply it to your life. And there's a magic with when you initiate the mysteries, it'll start coming to your life, but it's not like it's going to show up with a banner. Hey, I'm Saturn, I'm arriving. Like, look at me, you're going to deal with me. Did you learn the cycle? But it comes through your daily interactions, whether it is with other human being, with your surrounding, the challenges that present themselves in your life. Everything is an opportunity. So if you start reading a chapter about Saturn, you might not be in your Saturn return or transit, but pay attention. What comes out to your life, it might be through like a small interaction in the grocery store or something big, but pay attention to those and actually apply what you learn to it. And it doesn't ever happen overnight that you read the concept, like, oh yeah, that's great, it works, let's do it. But you might first miss it, and 2 days later be like, oh, that was a Saturn challenge. Did I make it well or not? And then it might happen after it happens after a few minutes, you remember, and then one day it happens and you're like, oh, this is a Saturn challenge. How am I going to answer this? So like, again, I would never stop emphasizing enough on practice. Whatever you study, make sure that you practice it in your life, because it would bring immense magic and aliveness and collaboration into this life process.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. That is so well spoken. Thank you, Shiva. And so finally, or maybe not yet finally, but I know that you are up to something very incredible, very special, that you have just given birth to maybe a heart child, maybe even a womb child, even though it's not a physical child, but an offering that is now being launched within the school. So I really, really, really want you to talk about that.
Awesome. Yes, it's been not only my work, but I mean, first of all, it's Danielle's extensive research and work to bring this cycle in this format. And we are talking about the Venus cycle. And basically, the contributor of the school is, since the time that Danielle started that and understood there's a pattern between Venus and Mars, we kind of were hoping to weave these two together. Of course, Venus has such an elegant cycle, and the way that it shows up, that everyone gets magnetized, as she is the planet of magnetization and attraction, to that cycle and work with that. But I mean, really at this time that we are at the turning of the ages, and we're all talking about bringing the masculine and feminine together, this was an opportunity to be able to go back to this teaching and have Danielle to kind of bring it back, since sometimes 20 years ago or more, he wrote those articles and presented it. So very little has been done.
It was 97, so that would be 25 years ago. Imagine.
Right. Yeah. We are very excited. After all this time, we get a chance to weave these stories together and be able to work with it collectively. So, I mean, we have a whole bunch of other videos and talks about this cycle, and I hope everybody gets to check it out. And I'm sure you include some links for people to have resources to learn more about it. But we are hoping as a community to be able to weave this synodic cycle of stories together. I mean, Danielle has a lot of talk on this, but we as humans in the ancient cultures, we came together at important alignments and always celebrated, and kind of through that celebration and community and coming together, weave the stories for what's to come. And we have been so far away from that in the recent culture. We all have Netflix and movies and videos and things that entertain us in that way. So we see it out there, but then we forgot to actually enact it ourselves. And those energies can kind of, swift us to whatever is the agenda behind that. But the act of theater and enactmenting of the things, it's like a shamanic ancient lineages that they use that for actually bringing the magic into manifestation. So I feel like when we participate in these ancient practices of celebrating these bigger cycles of life and kind of, say to this, otherworldly beings, hey, we are here, we see you, and we like to collaborate and join, we receive that opportunity. And it's really important at this time more than ever, because it's not that all of us don't pay attention to us. There are smaller group of people who do pay attention to this in the world, and they are the one who get to collaborate with it, although they won't publicly maybe admit to it, but actually harnessing these energies and magic to take this dream to the direction that they see the fit for their agenda. So I think this is like more than just, understanding about a cycle and work with it, but at this time, at the time of turning of the ages, working with these cycles might be the thing that actually allows, the humanity to have a saying in what's to come. I mean, we are in a time that everyone says like, no astrologer, no psychic, no one can tell you exactly what's going to unfold. But we have, even if you don't think it's going to work, there's opportunity to play it and see if it's going to work.
And I think, it's not necessarily about what is going to happen. It's about all these opportunities that I'm seeing, and especially with this offering as well, is how do we continue to define ourselves? How do we continue to refine our values? And then how do we, as you pointed out so many times, apply those in our lives? How do we align every thought, word, and action, every decision we take with those values and with the knowledge that we have? And how does that make us stand at this great turning of the ages? And I think that will then certainly powerfully impact how things unfold, and we'll see the results. Absolutely. I do believe and pray for that with all my heart, always.
I mean, that was a great point that you brought, because we know, like the work that Danielle talks so much about, and it was inspired from Dane Rijar work. It's like, yes, we came from the tribal mind into the individual to go to the collective, but we can't guide the collective and hoping that everybody would go somewhere. The journey doesn't happen that way. It's through like working on yourself. It's the individual that can change. Each individual would change, and then the collective change. But there is no individual that can change the collective. That's not the way it works. So that's really important point you brought up. It's like how you work with it. So for example, for me in this cycle, my work is that we talked about it a little bit before this video. I have all my Scorpio planets in a Gemini house. So I kind of see that as me having to learn to communicate in the language form, the mysteries that I study and love so much. And that's honestly a challenge for me, being that English is my second language, and I just don't have that relationship with language. I'm always patterns make sense, symbol makes sense, but not words. So that's my personal work to do. We're doing this enactment of the journey of Inanna, including the Mars, but that's the bigger picture about what is, again, my work to do personally.
Well, I feel you're doing that incredibly well. I have to honestly say, I wouldn't know what's lacking there, but you know how to improve on that. So that's really wonderful. So last but not least, is there anything that is going on right now, maybe in the astrology, that you would like to point out and maybe share a few thoughts about? I mean, we now call it Freddie retrograde in reference to Freddie Mercury. May he rest in potential. So Freddie Mercury and Freddie, oh God, you don't know, I scramble it up. Freddie retrograde is going on, but maybe there's some other things or anything whatsoever that you feel is happening right now, or kind of infusing the energy of these next couple of days that you would like to remark on or share anything about?
I guess I haven't really paid a lot of attention to what's happening exactly in the immediate beside the Mercury retrograde and because I had all my focus on this Venus cycle and the patterning. So I've been really just honed in there. And I mean, it's a big one for me. I have front row on this one, being it's my 5 times 8 Venus return, which means it's 5th Venus return. So that's a magical number for Venus. So I think all of my attention just been there and understanding and diving deeper into understanding these bigger cycles that are personal but also collective. So again, I just want to maybe just inspire others to start paying attention to that and how they can put their individual chart and this collective work.
Oh, I love that. For me personally, I mean, I have a different angle in why this particular Venus cycle will be important for me, right? I have been through my Venus return a couple of years ago now, so I'm in between, but this is a Venus in Leo overstory, and my chart has the Leo job in the Pisces tribe. So that's where I feel, ooh, pay attention, right? And Venus as the embodiment of the divine feminine that we would like to express. My Venus is in Gemini. So as she travels with this Leo overstory, I really want to learn and focus on this Leo archetype and bring it with my Venus together as Venus travels her journey through all these different mystery schools and derive the best from everything to expand my own capabilities of how I can express myself as a woman in the world and as a human being. So yeah, that's my angle to come to it. I'll certainly be there or be square. I'm really excited about this too. And so yes, we're coming, I mean, we're already over time, but never mind. It's always good to speak with you. Where can people find you? Are you offering personal readings or what, that bit?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can find the information on our school website under the astrologer tabs that we have there. And also there's my website, livingwiththemysteries.com.
Nice. Okay. Shall I put a link in the box below as well?
Yeah,
then people can find you there. And so yes, you do offer readings just in general or anything, any specific things, or you just discern that when you first speak to a person? How do you do that? How do you go about this process?
Yeah, I do offer, and they can see it on the website. I do offer a variety of different work, and then I also have an option which is kind of for people who are more into the astrology, have practiced astrology or other forms of healing, and don't necessarily want reading, but wants to kind of understand about the mysteries of life. And so there is the basic reading and the transits and all of this good stuff, but also I would work with people on individual basis based on what they need in life. And we do weave if there's an interest, and I always try to include the plants, of course, and the herbal medicine as a way to bridge and embody the knowledge.
So anybody watching this and having a specific affinity with plants as well, so here you are in exactly the right place, and very capable and loving hands and hearts with Shiva. So it's been my absolute pleasure and joy to chat with you, Shiva. And I really look forward to this whole Venus journey. It's 19 months long, so there will be a lot of transformation, evolution and involution happening there. I personally hope also a lot of community building, so that we really, embrace people and, really create a chalice that people feel very safe in and very much heard, understood, and welcomed. And I know that you have those capabilities, and I look forward to that. So thank you for now. And I'll speak to you again soon in a different context.
Sounds good, Naraya. Bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.